today I am discussing just things about virtual reality that I have noticed when looking at the difference between the Virtual Boy and the Oculus Quest 2. So over here we have the Virtual Boy, which was released in 1995 and was discontinued a year later in 1996, whereas the Oculus Quest 2 was released in 2020, basically 25 years later. But in my opinion, I don't think the advancements really support 25 years. I know that there are quite a lot of things that the Quest 2 can do that the Virtual Boy can't, but I've also noticed there's a few benefits to the Virtual Boy, oddly enough, that the Quest doesn't have. So unfortunately, the Virtual Boy has stereoscopic 3D graphics, meaning there is a head-mounted display using an effect, like an illusion, a parallax effect, to create depth using foreground and background, and you can move on a two-dimensional plane, sometimes on three-dimension, like I know the Wario game, which I don't have. You can move back into the background and back to the foreground. I have today Mario's Tennis for the Virtual Boy and Teleroboxer for the Virtual Boy. Very few games were made for this system. It, as everyone knows, was famously a failure for the Nintendo Corporation, and that's kind of where I think one of the largest advancements has happened with the Quest 2 is that it is a 6 degree of freedom head-mounted display. It has three-dimensional orientation tracking, like when you turn your head, it can track where your head goes, and it also has motion traction, where you can move within the three-dimensional space using the controllers, which I have over here. Whereas in the Virtual Boy, your head stays in place, it can't track where your head's going, and it also can only track where the character goes inside the game in that two-dimensional field using the parallax effect. A lot of other head-mounted displays exist, like you can make a virtual reality headset using your Switch, and sometimes with your phone you can, have the head-mounted display be made out of cardboard or whatever you have, and have the display here. When you use a phone and some other devices, it's a 3 degrees of freedom tracking. It's just the orientation. You usually can't move in either direction because your phone doesn't have the computing power that the Oculus and your computer would have. So some of the other things I just wanted to mention quickly about the Virtual Boy is that how much of a failure it was. Like when it was released, it was highly expensive. Very few games existed for it. People reported it was hard to play, gave you headaches, it wasn't actually portable, which it kind of is, but you can't put it on your head and walk around with it. It's more, put it on a table and play it anywhere. And it was, had a runtime of about a year, whereas the Oculus Quest 2 is still in production. There's still quite a lot of people purchasing them and creating content for them, whether it's through Unity, through Steam VR for games, or even on the Oculus itself. They have their own, library of games that you can play. Nintendo did reach out into the three-dimensional field before with the 3DS, where it actually had that same parallax effect and other components of using the depth of the screen, where it wasn't really 3 dimensions, kind of like the virtual reality that you can get from the Oculus Quest 2. And lastly, I just kind of want to make this video before the Apple VR headset or AR headset comes out, because augmented reality and virtual reality are slightly different. One of them is completely immersive, where in virtual reality you're submersed 100% in the world or whatever you're in, viewing-wise, a video, movie, video game, whereas augmented reality, there is a layered effect where you can still see the real world, but it has key components that change. So the Virtual Boy puts you 100% immersed into the game in a forward field of view, whereas the Oculus, you can do 360 degrees and view whatever you want. I think the introduction of the Apple headset into the mainstream will definitely allow for more games and entertainment to exist in a new format of augmented reality, where you can watch a show that interacts with your room, or you can play a game that's kind of like a real life I Spy, where you say I spy something, but you can actually pinpoint it beforehand, and that's just me spitballing. But I think it would be cool to kind of showcase the Virtual Boy against the Oculus and point out some of the pros and cons that I've seen while using recording. So to have me help test both the Virtual Boy and the Oculus at the same time, I have my lovely girlfriend here to play the Virtual Boy. So she's going to play Mario Tennis. Just wait 1 second. Gosh. And before you turn it on, let me sit down and get the Oculus ready. So one of the pros that I found in the Virtual Boy that's kind of like a con with what I've found with the Oculus, their App Store, and basically the ability to play games, I'm going to try and open up and play Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which I've played many times on this headset, and try and just get going. And she's going to turn on the Virtual Boy and start playing Mario Tennis. And I'm just going to put a timestamp probably somewhere over there in the sky to show like when the Virtual Boy is on and she's playing. And I've already started the Oculus software. The Oculus is on with my playfield set. So you ready? All right, go. Oh no. Please check that the Quest link and Airlink is enabled. Devices showing connected. Great start here. Are you already playing over there?
The game is starting.
Oh no. It's set up on another device. Remove headset. Oh gosh. That music is going to drive me crazy knowing that you're playing already. Despite my device being hardwired into my computer, Meta has required me to Airlink it through Wi-Fi. Steam VR is finally opening up, as you can see right there. I'm switching her from Mario Tennis to Teleroboxing, which I have not played yet. So she will be experiencing that for the first time. But, as you can see, you could just switch the cartridge, play the game in 2 seconds, whereas, you could start playing. Whereas, I had to, despite having my headset hardwired, had to re-update the Oculus, had to restart my computer, restart the headset, just to play a game that's been out for 15 years. So the time frame, the reason I picked Skyrim Elder Scrolls is that the release date of that game is basically the middle point between this device and this device. So the fact that it's taking me so long to just get the game up and running is ridiculous. And I'll record the gameplay in just a minute once the game is going. Start the fade. Okay, here we go. Launch the game. Alright, reset recording. Alright. I'm going to attempt to record some of the Virtual Boy, but that's, pretty difficult to do. Where's the menu? Uh-oh. There's the Elder Scroll logo. Did I mess up already?
Yes. It says, I am worthless and weak.
That's what yours said?
Yes.
Can you see on my screen, does it say anything, or is it just this logo?
It's showing Minecraft.
What?
There's a little window in front of it. It is showing you're playing.
Oh, there we go. There
There is
Let me just
Minecraft
peek.
screen.
Oh no, we're good.
Do you want to exit out of that?
Yes. Okay. Uh-oh, why does it say I'm sneaking? Okay. What do I have? Fire? Sounds good. Are you still playing over there?
Yeah, I can.
Should I stay sneaky? Let's do... Let's grab my longbow. Oh, whoops. Did I just drop my bow? I did. It's been a minute since I did this. Grab that back. Alright. I am definitely not hitting anymore.
Oh, the triggers are how I punch, and this is defense.
There it is. There's definitely a dude with that horse. How did I lose him? There's the horse. Oh, there he is, there he is.
I made it through a round.
Nice.
Alive.
So there's a horse. Do you see a dude? Am I blind?
No, I don't see a dude.
Who would just leave their horse? Maybe if I attack the horse, he'll show up. Oh God! Distraction. No, open the... This horse is getting the best of me right now. We want flames on both. Oh, there he is. Oh wait, that's a skeleton. I'll take that. Search the... I want to search the horse now. Here's my arrows back. Oh, there's another skeleton. Oh, I'm out of magic. We're gonna switch to greatsword. Damn, he went absolutely everywhere. But I'm still curious, where was the dude who rode in on said horse? I feel like he just disappeared. How's Boxer going?
Terrible. I don't... Okay, he's like dodging my hits.
But as you can see, this game is just like super polished, you know. I gotta admit, playing with, you know, the magic spells, especially with the destruction on, you know, Flame just being able to, like, basically just be a wizard, you know. Or archery's pretty fun as well. The two-hand sword is kind of weird because you can only really use one hand to hold it. And, playing this does take some... I'm trying to sprint here, so I'm getting used to.
I'm getting tired of losing over here.
Yeah, maybe we'll switch in just a second. Oh, there's a fire over there. We can go screw those people up. Do you want to switch to Mario Tennis? Oh, there's some people here. Joanne, watch this.
I am feeling kind of dizzy playing this.
Smoked. So that is the other thing that a lot of people say about the Virtual Boy, is that it can give you, over time, kind of like a nauseous and headachy feeling. Personally, I also feel it after playing, you know, for a pretty long time, playing Skyrim VR. I feel like the same thing, like over the course of a long time, you end up just... Oh, those are good for magic. Over the course of time, you just kind of get used to it, but at the same time, at the start, I used to get pretty disoriented and motion sick while playing this game, so I think that it just comes with the territory of VR, having something so close to your face and you're moving around in a essentially three-dimensional spectrum. Why is it letting me run through that? Three-dimensional spectrum, even though I'm sitting right now, and my character in the game is sprinting down a path in the middle of the night. So it does get some taking used to. Alright, so I think this is a good part to stop at, but I'm just going to do one more. Next time, we're going to do Beat Saber, and I'm going to talk about some virtual reality literature. I'm going to try Teleroboxer. I'm going to try and capture some of the footage of that, capture the footage of this. I'm going to overlay it basically over here, and with that, I might try and overlay it over there. I've scratched that countdown thing because it's just very clear that even though the Virtual Boy was a flop and kind of shitty, it's just so much easier to start up and play and just get going. And I hope that is one of the issues that Apple helps resolve, is that I feel like, and she can contest to this, every time I've tried to set this up and play with it, unless I play games on the Oculus platform, and even then I run into having to update twice. I had to completely wipe my device and start over. And one of those times they asked me to just create a brand new account, and they said you had to register the device completely over. And I feel like a lot of those hurdles, if you don't know how to use computers, like if you don't have a gaming computer, you don't know how to connect Steam VR to an Oculus, and then have any concept of how to connect devices from one device to a computer, you're going to come to roadblocks and updates and all these things just to play a game. Whereas the Virtual Boy, it's a matter of 6 batteries. Turn the device on, you're playing. So my hope is that Apple makes it as user-friendly as a lot of their other devices, and that you can just go without having to jump through hoops, make updates, create accounts, all this stuff. I hope that is one of the key components they fix there. So my closing notes are the fact that the Virtual Boy came out in '95, and we're closer to 2025, which would be 30 years since this device was released. And I feel like the progress we have made is with graphics, ability to move in the head-mounted display, the fact that this display can be held alone and it's significantly smaller. It has these Joy-Cons that can track your arms. There are things that can track your whole body. We've made a lot of progression in tracking graphics and all these things, but I feel like the barrier for entry and ease of access to these devices have been hindered by tenfold. The fact that you would need to have some preliminary concept of computers, the fact that you would need to be able to understand how to connect devices to Wi-Fi, how to get a link cable to work, and how to update devices, which are all common sense to a lot of people who are in the industry or know video games really well. But imagine this is your first console. There's no plug and play on this. If it was your first console ever, horrible concept that the Virtual Boy would be your introduction to video games. Red graphics straight up to the face. But you just put the game in, you turn it on, you're playing. With the Quest, there's creating an account, setting up that account, getting it linked to your device, getting the device to link to Wi-Fi, downloading said game, making sure it's updated, plugging it into play, putting it on, making sure you have the space, which is, it's safer to have the space, but there's so much going on before you can even start playing the game. Whereas with the Virtual Boy, it's a matter of seconds, and you could just be playing the game. And I think that is something that isn't really addressed that much, or maybe it is, and I'm the only one in my head complaining about this, but I think that's one of the things I want to see improvements on, is just ease of access. I think to get better games, better entertainment, and all, people to be hyped on virtual reality, it's important to make it easy for anybody to get into it, because if it's hard to do, it's hard to get into, it costs a lot or anything like that. The Oculus is pretty cheap when you think about it. It's cheaper than the Virtual Boy now, and it was cheaper than when the Virtual Boy came out if you adjust for inflation. So it's more cost effective, but it's just more difficult to use. And I think that is kind of counterintuitive that we're almost 30 years into the future of the Virtual Boy. We're 30 years past its release, and we're having a harder time to just play a game.